Eerie.
I actually have a picture. I went to that
Everybody.
Hey, do you want to go see a police person? We got a pencil? Go over there and see a police station. See pencils.
The police maybe.
That's my shoe. I'm a U.S.
You guys are not going in? Not going in?
There's nothing. They're just selling some vacation packages. 5 minutes only.
Yes, thank you.
Why? Because the flicker's on?
I was suddenly trying to think of way back.
Is this it? The geese? That big?
Can they want to take pictures? You go, I have the camera here.
He's taking this
But phone camera తో తీస్తున్నాడు దీంతో బెటర్గా వస్తుంది సంజయ్ come on.
Like that.
Is it warm enough for water? Mother, you want to look this way?
Left one, please. No, let's put your arms on.
Sanjay, you want to
this
look
I just
here?
want to face me, please. Thank you. I just wanted to those.
That's it.
Should I hold on to your head?
There. Yeah, you were supposed to get us to the down.
I know I can't get off the boat very often. Look at it. Chill. Let me off the boat. We got Ben. Ben keep me on open. Jimmy can probably together. That's what
True. Face me one more time, please. Ready? Okay. Make sure you go there. Oh, okay. All right. Pretty much more easier. Right now then. What's that? Okay. I'm gonna say when we take this back off, we'll make it easier. Today? No. We've been. Would either of you folks like a life jacket? You don't have to have one if you want one.
It's fine.
We offer, or I offer. Okay. If you got slip-on shoes, we ask that you leave them in the boat. No. 85 or 180. 365. Your weight, please.
170.
Okay.
365?
No.
That's what you said.
No, I said
You said 3.
no.
Yeah, you did.
I wouldn't do that.
How much about this?
180.
About 5 all 3. Works for me if the boat fly out.
Alrighty. Back to the spiel here. If you got slip-on shoes, we ask it's your turn to go, just leave them on the boat. So after we get out here, we're going to inflate the parasail. There's going to be a red bar that's hooked to the parasail, so when we call you up, you're going to walk up the steps, use the handrail on the right. You got to duck underneath that red bar. Turn around, face the front of the boat.
That's why I won't go parasailing. That's beautiful.
Oh, that's just a very low weight. Alright. Like I say, as you get back in, you can just pick your legs back up and then setting down. Hey, if we're on your parasailing, so you think and the wind's getting super high and we can't bring it back to low safely, we'll actually turn the boat, let the winch back up and set you in the water. And that was to happen. After you go in the water, the light surface zero will hold you afloat. You go in for a minute, just get your brains out, just see what's going on. Okay, I'm in the water. Turn around and see where the parasail's at, because it'll go in the water behind you. There's no more air left in it, it's flat with the water. So anytime you want to touch it, you squeeze them. That's all. Unhook yourself from the red bar. Help your partner unhook. Be by yourself. Once you get unhooked, just push yourself away from the red bar. We'll pick you up. That's only in case of emergency. Yep. If we yes. If I don't tell anybody about it, and I have to actually send somebody in the water, then you don't know what's going on. Yes, yeah. So, if you want to come down running, yeah, just go like that, off to the side so we can see you. Start crossing your legs and cross your legs down.
I've never seen proper style.
Okay. Are you going 300 then?
Yeah.
Okay. And you folks are going 6, correct?
I think 300.
300? Okay. Not a problem. She has her paperwork here, so.
Yeah.
Would you be able to take my picture at all?
Sure.
I mean, whenever.
So you want to go second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye guys, enjoy yourself. You want to turn the thing on again?
Yeah, I mean, they're going first, so.
Oh, you did turn for that? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, that would be nice. I don't know. Both are going together. Yeah.
That's it. I was looking for the bridge.
ఇది అటు ఇటు చేస్తే ముందుకి వెనక్కి లెన్స్
want to take pictures and videos?
Turn off if you sit down, sir. Turn off if you sit down.
Was it fun?
Amen. All right, we're going to find out where you're from. Ken and I, my husband here, we live here in the Mackinaw, Sheboygan area, and we moved here 6 years ago from Holland, Michigan. So if we have anybody from Holland, there we go. There we go. All right. Are you Dutch? No? Okay. All right, we're Dutch. So when you see the song sheet, you'll see as cheap as we could go, we made them on the back and the front. So I'm going to say, yeah, that's the Dutchman. That would be us. All right, here we go. Where are you from?
Mackinac Island.
He's a stinker. Ellsworth. He's from Ellsworth. Are you Dutch? Yes. That's why you're in trouble.
Urbana, Michigan. Union Lake, Michigan.
Mackinaw City.
Sheboygan.
Okay.
Crystal Bay.
That's right. Hey, Ken?
Where are you from, sir?
Chicago.
Holland. What part of Holland? The north end or south? 32nd. Toledo, Ohio. Duck Lake. Sterling Heights, Michigan. Sioux, Canada. Great. And it's Happy Birthday Canada Day, right? All right, okay.
All right. We have a teacher on board, and some of the kids that are working on board are watching the teacher here, so they got to behave today, don't they, Mr. Wade? Yeah, right. That's right, girl. They got to behave. All right.
Jackson, Michigan.
All right.
Ann Arbor.
Wesley, Michigan.
Is it a little cold here? Yeah. 650 mile per hour winds are like, 650 miles per hour. They have clocked it at 121 miles per hour. And of course, the bridge shut down at that time, so. Thank you need to do that. And, yeah, no, right, yeah. And it just needs to be very careful when that wind, and we'll have no problem. That's the only time that I listen to rules is when I drive over the bridge. Otherwise, I don't, I'm not very good, but I'm always afraid of that. That's the only. All right, here we go.
How tall are the arches on the bridge?
The towers themselves are 552 feet. The ivory towers are 552 feet above the water, 210 feet underneath, right in the bedrock. There's an elevator in each one, the north and the south tower, and it can take workers just about to the top, and they have to walk the rest of the way on a little spiral staircase.
The question was, how far do the pilings go down under the water?
Into bedrock, right of the anchor. The towers are 210 feet into the bedrock. 295 feet deep right here in this span, so for our ships to go through. We have this little guy who has another question.
How long are the cords?
There's cable on the bridge. He wants to know how much. There's 42,000 miles of cable on the bridge. There's 1 3/4 time around the world. So, and they have to string that up on there one at a time because the wires weigh so much. So, one at a time, that wheel would go back and forth. It takes about 9 years to paint the bridge. It's about 70,000 gallons of paint. Right now they're doing a process where they're taking the lead-based paint off and collecting that. It's not going in the lake. They're collecting that, taking it out of here, and that project will be done 2013. Yeah.
Do you have a question back here?
How did they
How did they put the lights up there? Good question.
Once the cable was all on there, men and women walk up on those cables to put the lights in there. They screw them right on in, they walk on up there and take their light bulbs with them, and there they do. About 96 decorative lights are on there, about 150 street lamps. Okay, I have one right here.
My question is, for several years it probably was the world's longest suspension bridge, but it's not anymore. Which one is?
Japan. And Denmark is second, I think, and we're third.
It may not be the longest now, but it was.
Stop.
Two spots.
Well, there's a couple over here.
It's better, yeah.
videotaping right in front of you.
I know, but isn't there something else?
This is pretty cool, huh?
I know one place I special, but two places I really want to go to. What? I see special books. I want to go to that thing and it's cave. Something. It was like an adventure. Yeah, it was, you know. I can't remember. I just want
Eat 'em up, let's go eat! Calm down back there. Now that's used today in sports, as you can see. Now there's a few examples of calls. Now if you do want to hear other calls throughout the day, we do play calls for, we do some requests, if you will. We don't play taps during the day, however, because it's generally considered a reverent call. And if you do want to hear taps, they play it in the evening at around 10 o'clock. So you hear it then. But thank you for coming, and thank you for listening. Jared here will tell you, or Joe, will tell you a bit about the uniform.
My name is Jared. Behind me we have Joe. We're going to tell you a little about the uniforms that we're wearing today. We represent soldiers here at Fort Mackinaw from the 1880s. The 23rd Regiment of Infantry were stationed here from 1884 until 1890. Now they would have worn two basic, distinct types of uniform at this time. I myself am wearing what's called the fatigue uniform. This is the everyday dress of the soldiers here at Fort Mackinaw. This is the uniform we would wear into battle, should we be called to battle. It's also the uniform we would wear on everyday fatigue duties, such as sweeping the barracks or chopping wood or maintaining the national park, things like that. It looks a lot like the uniform worn by the soldiers of the Union Army during the Civil War. That's because the Civil War was only 20 years ago in the 1880s. Not much has changed. The only difference is that we have an extra button and we have pockets in the coat. Now, you'll see the uniform that Joe is wearing here and our two musicians, that's called the dress uniform. That's actually basically the suit and tie of the troops here at Fort Mackinaw during the 1880s. It would only be worn on special occasions, such as weddings or parades or funerals, things like that. It would never be worn into battle because it makes an excellent target. There's a lot of gold and flashy things on it, so it would make you a good target. It comes distinct with that spiked helmet on top there. That helmet's actually a Prussian design. It's simply for decoration. The the French were defeated by the Prussians in the Franco-Prussian War in the 1870s, and they were considered to be the most powerful army in the world. Therefore, America, not being a world power at its time, wanted to copy their design. They wanted to look like the victorious Prussians. It was fashionable to look like the victors. The same reason why people wear Tigers hats now. The Tigers are doing well, we want to look like them. It's fashionable to look like the victors. So we wanted to look like the Prussians. Therefore, America's army, as well as many other countries in the world, copied this design for their dress uniform. Now, there's a couple of different ranks out here today. Myself, I'm a private. I only make $13 a month. You can tell I'm a private because I have no chevrons on my sleeves and no markings down the outseam of my trousers. The two gentlemen behind me are musicians. You can tell that they're musicians because they have piping on the front of their coats and a double white stripe down the outseam of their trousers. They're very good at what they do. They also make $13 a month at this time. Now Joe over here is a sergeant, which means he makes $17 a month. You can tell he's a sergeant because he has a triple chevron on his sleeve and a broad white stripe down the outseam of his trousers. Now, regardless of rank here at Fort Mackinaw, every soldier had to be proficient with his rifle. These rifles are called 45-70 Springfield rifles. And with more on this, I'm going to hand it over to Joe.
Thanks, Jared. In 1873, the U.S. Army adopted a new rifle, and that rifle is this, the M1873, more commonly referred to as the 45-70 Springfield. To load, a soldier pulls the hammer to the half-cock position and then opens up the breech block. This is a breech loader. We're going to load directly into the chamber through this breech block here, reach into our cartridge box, pull out a brass cartridge, 45 caliber with 70 grains of black gunpowder inside it. And it's pretty much like a modern day cartridge. Today they still fire brass. In the 1870s, that's when we got its start. The brass cartridges did. We slide this into the chamber, shut the breech block, pull the hammer back one more notch, and the soldier is ready to fire. A well-trained soldier with this rifle could fire 15 shots per minute. A rifle that this replaced, the 1863 Springfield, a well-trained soldier can only fire 3 shots per minute. So this is 5 times faster than the rifle it replaced. The reason the old one was so slow is that one was a muzzle loader. It was a musket. You had to rip open your paper cartridge with your teeth, pour everything down the muzzle of the weapon, use a ramrod to ram it all down, and then prime it with a percussion cap. Only 3 shots a minute during the American Civil War. That doesn't seem like that much, but the soldiers shooting at you, they can only fire 3 shots a minute too. So it kind of balances out, so to speak. In the 1880s, this rifle is accurate in 600 to 1,000 yards. That's 6 to 10 football fields. Now, just because the rifle can send a projectile that distance does not mean that the soldier shooting the rifle is that accurate. And that's why mandatory target practice was instituted beginning in 1876 for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons was the defeat at the Battle of Little Bighorn with Custer's troops. The Army felt that those men were not proficient with their firearms, and that's one of the reasons they were defeated. So we did have 2 rifle ranges here at Fort Mackinaw, a 300-yard range directly behind the fort, which is still visible today, and a 1,000-yard range further back on the island, which is no longer visible. We'll put in earplugs, as you notice. We do encourage you folks to do the same. Your earplugs are located at the ends of your index fingers. Insert just like so. If you should have a hearing aid, you may want to turn that down or off. Or you can turn your hearing aid all the way up, sit back, relax, and enjoy that maximum combat effect. Step back and we'll fire 2 shots apiece.
It's not going to hurt anybody.
Whoa. What do you think? Wow. So I tell you what, look at all that smoke. This is a black powder rifle black powders produce, excuse me, as I'm choking on this. Black powder does produce a lot of black powder smoke, and that's a problem. In the Civil War, when they could only fire 3 shots a minute, the smoke on the battlefields was a problem. Now in the 1870s and 80s, we increased that rate of fire. The smoke builds up even faster. So as a result of that, it's a huge issue on the battlefield. In 1893, the U.S. Army decides that they're going to start phasing out this rifle. They do that with the introduction of the Springfield Krag. It's a bolt-action mechanism, and it uses smokeless gunpowder. By 1893, a well-trained soldier in the U.S. Army could fire 30 shots a minute, rendering this rifle completely obsolete. This is a first and a last. It's the first breech loader to be issued to infantry soldiers on a regular basis, but it's the last single-shot, last black powder rifle ever used by the U.S. Army. Both of these rifles you see here today are original. This one I'm holding is a 122. It dates back to 1885. If you'd like to come take a closer look at these rifles, you're more than welcome. Our next demonstration will be at 11 o'clock, which will be a cannon firing. At 11:30, we will be having a court-martial reenactment right here on the parade ground. So thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of your time. Take care.
Maybe one of you be a volunteer.
Dad, can I go in that little one? Go in that little thing. That little thing.
Morning. What time Dr. Bailey's patients got out of their beds?
Whoa!
Just in here for a psychological exam.
How are you guys doing?
Morning, everybody. Morning. How you folks doing today? Good. Excellent, excellent. Welcome to Fort Mackinaw. My name is Jared. This here's Ben, and this is our lovely Victorian lady, Leanne here. Everybody say ooh. Everybody say ah. Leanne's going to be leading a children's tour shortly after our cannon firing, and Joe will be leading a soldier's life tour at the bottom of the stairs. So keep that in mind right after this cannon fire. Anyway. Without further ado, we're going to be demonstrating the loading, cleaning, and firing process of this 1841 model 6-pound smoothbore field gun. Everybody get that? Of course you did. In case you didn't, I'm going to break it down for you. But first, I'm going to need a couple volunteers. Anxious? You with the hat there, why don't you come back here? You, sir? You, ma'am?
Right over here, volunteers, up against the wall.
Go right ahead, go line up against the wall there.
How are you, ladies?
Alrighty.
Oh, yeah.
Now, 1841 pertains to the year of manufacture. Now, we are interpreting the 1880s here at Fort Mackinaw today, which means this cannon's over 40 years old. And the reason for that is because we are a national park. Mackinac Island's a national park. We are not here to defend against the British. We are just here to use this for ceremonial purposes. We're going to fire it off on the 4th of July, Decoration Day, Ulysses S. Grant's birthday, things like that. We fire this cannon only for special occasions. Now, smoothbore, most importantly, pertains to the inside of the barrel. It's smooth. It's basically like a giant spitball. It basically just kind of propels the shot without spinning it. The projectile would spin if it had rifling in it, giving it greater distance and accuracy. Since this is a smoothbore, it basically just fires it out, which means we have an accurate range of about half a mile. We could easily hit that Arnold boat there. Anything to the end of the break wall, about half a mile. However, we could hit Round Island. It's just under a mile. We could definitely hit it, we're just not quite sure where. That's our maximum distance. 6 pound refers to the size of the shot. This is a 6 pound cannonball, solid shot, a lot like what it would fire.
Cool.
Basically, you'd fire this thing and roll around the battlefield like a giant bowling ball, take off legs, heads, whatever it came in contact with. It could also break through ships and things like that. We could also fire things like canister and grape shot out of here, which is basically like a shotgun blast, which is against troops. However, this is the most common type of shot fired from a cannon like this. It weighs 6 pounds. So if this was a 9 pounder, how big would this ball be? 9 pounds. This would still weigh 6 pounds, but it's always a 6 pound ball. However, if it's a 124 pounder, it'd fire a 124 pound shot, etc. Things like that. Now I'm going to pass this around. Please don't drop it on your feet or your neighbor's feet because it is pretty heavy. You ready? There you go. Firing process. First of all, we're going to use our volunteers. Miss, what is your name? Jennifer. Where are you from, Jennifer? Where in Michigan? Maryville?
Mayville.
Oh, Mayville. Is there a Maryville?
She's in Marysville.
Marysville.
She's from Mayville.
Okay, so what hand do you color with? On the right one. Okay, we're going to use this hand, just in case. Give me a big thumbs up. Big thumbs up. Put this on your thumb. Now you see this hole up here? I need you to put your thumb on that hole. Can you feel it? I just want you to hold your thumb right there. Excellent. What Jennifer from Mayville is doing is called thumb stalling. There are only 2 holes in this cannon. One is in the breech there. The other is the end of the gun, through the bore. So what she's doing is blocking any air from escaping the cannon through the breech for our cleaning process. Now our first volunteer is going to step up. He's going to insert the gunner's worm or auger. This is going to remove any of the solid debris left over from the previous firings. We don't want solid debris in there because it's going to go flying out when you fire and you might kill a horse or something like that. That'd be bad. Now keep in mind that a crew of 8 men could fire a round from this cannon about once every 15 seconds. However, we are 2 state employees, a Victorian lady, and a few volunteers. We're not going to be that fast. Do not time us. Now the next volunteer is going to step up. They're going to insert what's called the wet swab. It's basically like a giant dirty Q-tip. They insert that into the barrel to extinguish any sparks there from previous firing. This is also why Jennifer from Mayville's job is so important. When she pulls out, or when our volunteer pulls out that wet swab, it's going to create a vacuum of oxygen that's going to be forced out the end of the barrel. Basically, it's going to be impossible for a spark to survive in there. If you're a spark inside this cannon, you're not happy right now. Our next tool is called the dry swab. Our next volunteer is going to step up and insert the dry swab. We introduce water into the barrel, and water and gunpowder don't mix very well, so we have to dry out the water that we inserted in there. Historically, this step would have been skipped because oftentimes the cannon was so hot, the water would evaporate immediately. However, the cannon's not that hot, so we're going to have to dry out the water we introduced. This too is going to create another vacuum that Jennifer's blocking with the hole. Keep pulling. Use those muscles. All right, nice job. Jennifer from Mayville, how you doing? Think we can do this for another half an hour? Get some coffee, Ben?
Nah, I tried to quit.
I'm sorry about that. Well, everybody give our volunteers a round of applause. Give them a big thumbs up. Excellent job. You guys are dismissed. A 5-year enlistment just like that. Oh. Don't forget the camera. Very well. I am going to resume the thumb stalling process while Ben loads in our charge. It is 3 ounces of black gunpowder wrapped in historically accurate Reynolds aluminum foil. Actually, during this time period, they would have used cloth to wrap their charges, but we don't want to set any bushes on fire today, so we're going to use aluminum foil. He's going to seat this charge with this French-style crooked ramrod. This allows Ben to stand next to the barrel while he's seating the charge. Historically, the British and Americans who were stationed here would have used a straight ramrod, but that requires Ben to stand directly in front of the barrel, so it's a little more dangerous. We use this French style just for safety purposes. Now we're going to move this cannon into firing position. Notice how easy it moves with these big wheels. This is what makes it a field gun. Easy to move around the field of battle. Ben's going to step to the rear of the cannon and retrieve a brass gunner spike or gimlet. Anybody know why it's made of brass? No sparks, precisely. He's going to use it to pierce the powder charge for our ignition device. If I can find one. Do you have one over there, Ben?
Yep, I'm all set.
Okay, excellent. This here is called a friction primer. Can everybody say friction primer? Friction primer. Now say it 3 times fast. Friction primer, friction primer, friction primer. It's a tongue twister. Just kind of like 1841 6-pound spoonful of Hoolah. Anyway, this is a very innovative, nifty device. You can use them in the rain, you can use them in the wind, it doesn't matter. You can use it. Back before these were invented, they had to use slow matches. They had to light a match, and they had to touch powder off at the end. A lot longer. And if it gets wet, it's useless. These were invented in the 1830s to combat that problem. All they are a brass tube filled with gunpowder, about 222 shells worth. At the top here, there's a black substance called fulminate mercury. When this lanyard is pulled, it creates friction, which ignites the fulminate mercury, which creates a spark. It works the same way that a strike anywhere match does. You play with matches? You play with matches?
No.
Good. They're very dangerous. These are as well. This lanyard is pulled, sparks created, igniting this powder, sending a jet of flame into our breech of our cannon, igniting our charge. Very nifty device. Now, Ben has inserted our friction primer inside a cage device. The only problem with these things is that oftentimes when the lanyard is pulled, the brass tube will shoot out like a rocket. And we don't want any of you to get friction primed in the eye today. So we take this precaution for safety purposes. Anyway, without further ado, we are just about ready to fire. But before we do, I'm going to need everybody's help. This side of the audience has one job, this side has the other job. There's only 2 words to make this cannon fire. What do you think your word might be? Ready. Your word is ready. What do you think your word is? Aim. If you say ready, aim, when are we going to fire? So your word is what? Fire. Excellent. So I'm going to point to you guys. What are you going to say? Ready. I'm going to point to you guys. What are you going to say? Fire.
Watch out, he's videoing.
You have to be louder than that because Ben's been firing these cannons out for a long time. Right, Ben? Right, Ben? Huh? My point exactly. So, you're going to say it really loud. We're going to do one more practice round. Everybody on this side of the audience is going to say what? Ready! This side of the audience is going to say what? Ready! Ben! What? Hear that? Huh? Okay. We're going to do it for real this time, and you have to be really, really loud, because like I said, Ben's a little deaf. All he has to do is pull this lanyard, and we're ready to go. I'm going to remind you, this is going to be loud, so plug your ears. Use Nature's earplugs located at the end of your index fingers. I see you're already doing this, so nice job. Alrighty, I'm going to point to this side. What are you going to say? Ready! What are you going to say? Ready! Just like that. This is the Cannon Salute welcoming you to Fort Mackinaw today. Again, there will be 2 tours led right here at the bottom of the stairs. A Children's Life Tour with Leanne and a Soldier's Life Tour with Joe. Feel free to jump on any tour if you'd like. Thank you for coming to Fort Mackinaw today. Have an excellent day.
What's the
Huh? Do you take the money that's in the front?
Yes.
Okay. See, Alex?
Warm it up to the idea. That's what they serve at Coney Island downtown Fort Wayne. It's a real little Coke bottle.
More stairs.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah.
I thought we were only halfway there with the exit taps. That was just bad.
He's already on the thing. Come look.
You got one of those? Thanks, Mike. Whose is it? Mine?
3, 2, 1.
Thank you so much.
That took you guys so long. Not exactly. The climb, dude. Yeah, look at it. It looks awesome. Wow, that's sweet. Let's go higher. I want to climb over it. Yeah. Walk over. Oh, it'll be sweet, like a ninja battle, like bouncing on the arch where it falls off.
See, if you switch on and off many times, it makes a small videos, small clips. Sometimes
Stop. See it? It's right down
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see that. That's convenient placing. Everyone's going to see that.
See that art? Yeah, we were trying to swim that, but people were leaving.
I did.
Actually, that's not the right piece. I would love to know board. I want to bug it. Looks like it. Put the last name on there too. Oh, that's sweet.
Made that.
You have this one. It's still got money in it.
Oh, sweet. I'm not. Jared.
I wouldn't do that.
Well, then I would.
What are you even looking at?
13 degrees. 12 degrees. I want to see the boat. Let me see the boat.